This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, the widow of Blair Vining celebrates the start of work of Southlands Charity Hospital. A well-wisher brings gifts to Countdown staff in central Dunedin. And Invercargill school children learn about science from a visiting balloonist. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Southland-based cancer care advocate Blair Vining would have been 41 yesterday. Instead of celebrating with him in person, his wife and children visited his grave to show him the newly granted building consents for local charity hospital. The family then took a tour of the building, which will hopefully become a completed hospital by next April.
After a complex building consent process, builders have finally been able to make a start on repurposing Invercargill's old Clifton Club Inn into a new charity hospital for Southland. The first day of work also coincides with Blair Vining's birthday, a cancer care advocate who would have been 41 if he hadn't died of bowel cancer a year and a half ago.
It's pretty exciting for us to be here today and knowing that construction's underway.
Melissa Vining says the hospital's fundraisers are close to reaching their goal of selling 10,000 bricks with individually engraved messages, which will pave areas around the outside of the building.
The bricks are actually a massive project, and they'll start being made in September, and then they won't actually start getting laid until around February next year.
Boyd Wilson has volunteered his services as a development manager and says if Southlanders maintain their current level of generosity, the building will be completed by this time next year.
Obviously, being charity, we need to make sure that we can build this as cost effectively as we possibly can, and the support of the suppliers and the labour force has been fantastic to date, and we all need to roll up our sleeves in the next 12 months to get this thing across the line.
And the charity hospital will remain flexible for future health needs.
As the need changes, so will the services that we deliver, and it will be at the recommendation of those medical specialists who are volunteering their time on that clinical committee.
GPs can already refer people who have been declined by the public health system to the charity hospital, which has an arrangement with a private hospital to see some patients. In Invercargill, The South Today.
The New Zealand Sports Hall of Fame, located at Dunedin's railway station, may undergo a shift to Christchurch. Sport New Zealand has been in direct talks about the possibility of the Hall of Fame becoming part of a new $75 million National Sports Museum in Christchurch. Dunedin's Hall of Fame is currently operating on a lifeline of funding support from the Dunedin City Council that runs out at the end of next month. At the end of last year, the council gave $50,000 to help the Hall of Fame get through to the middle of the year. Shoppers flooded back to Countdown Dunedin Central as it opened for the first time since a violent stabbing rocked the community. The store reopened in a soft opening yesterday evening ahead of its first full day back in action today.
Dunedin's Central Countdown supermarket has reopened for business after this week's brutal stabbing. There have been messages of support for the staff from the wider community. Dunedin's That Blind Woman, Julie Woods, has made truffles and had children from St Clair School and local scouts write messages of support to the Countdown staff. And she delivered the truffles to the supermarket today.
I felt really sick the other day when I found out about the stabbings, and I just wanted to move that negative energy and try and do something positive. So I thought the best way was to do something that I normally do, and that's make my bloody truffles.
Woods says the scouts and school pupils wrote such warm and supportive comments, she decided to translate them into Braille.
Yeah, so one of the messages that one of the children wrote from St Clair was, "We are all here for you," And I thought that was such a lovely message that I decided to make some bookmarks for the staff as well. So they have that message in Braille and they've got a little heart sticker on them as well.
The 4 victims of Monday's stabbing remained in Dunedin Hospital yesterday, 2 in a serious condition and 2 in moderate conditions. Shoppers returned to the store today had mixed emotions.
The staff seem pretty normal, and obviously there's a few security guards walking around in high-vis jackets, so yeah, it's kind of a slightly different feeling maybe.
I mean, it was definitely different, felt a different vibe in there. Noticed it become a lot tighter on security and everything. Yeah, just hoping it goes back to normal.
I think people seemed friendly and like thank yous and smiles. I thought they seemed to be just trying to keep a positive energy. Yeah.
It's pretty quiet, yeah, and the deli wasn't open, so yeah.
A security guard is posted outside and another one based inside the store. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Dunedin Airport was the coldest spot in the country this morning, recording minus 5.2 degrees at Dunedin Airport just before 6 a.m. For many centres across New Zealand, the mercury struggled to get above zero. Alexandra was almost 2 degrees warmer than Dunedin this morning at minus 3.8 degrees. Met Service says that early next week the south can expect to be hit by heavy rain, gales and snow. Balloon adventurer Andrew Parker has travelled around the world educating many thousands of youngsters. But his hot air-filled way of educating the world's children about science was internationally grounded by COVID-19. So he's educating Kiwi kids instead.
It's not quite around the world in 80 days, but this hot air balloon has been to more than 80 countries around the world.
Yeah, so actually this is probably the most well-travelled balloon in the world. I took this balloon to 87 countries and I was encouraging kids to follow their dreams. So I was driving around the world, and that was part of my Flying High for Kids project.
Andrew Parker began a 5-year global adventure in 2014. And by 2019, he'd flown his balloon at schools and events in 87 countries around the globe. But when COVID-19 hit last year, he became pretty much grounded.
I'm back here because of COVID, in fact. And so I wasn't intending to be back in New Zealand, but I always thought of doing a project like this one. So it was a good way to start it. So, but yeah, otherwise, you know, we have to adapt in these COVID times, and this is the way that I'm adapting.
The Flying High Charitable Trust founder and his well-travelled balloon are currently in the south, educating youngsters about science and the physics of flight.
I've been, so I talk to kids as well. I give a presentation in the class afterwards, and we talk about some of those things, how we can improve ourselves and our communities sustainably.
Brooke Bartlett, Addison Gray and Maya Beeching were amongst the Rimu Full Primary School pupils who enjoyed taking a ride in the balloon, but all were a little apprehensive beforehand.
Nervous and scared. Yeah, I'm nervous, scared and excited. I'm cold and I'm a bit nervous.
He's taking the balloon to rural areas around Aotearoa, hoping to share the enjoyment of flight while educating young minds. The Flying High project is managed by the Flying High Charitable Trust. The Trust is a New Zealand registered charity incorporated in 2020. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. It's all about rugby. Firstly, a look at tonight's Highlanders versus Queensland Reds game. Then another instalment of Rugby Chat, looking at Dunedin's club rugby scene. So see you after the break.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Hi, Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. We've opened another pop-up store in Invercargill. It's for a limited time. We're in D Street, 201, right beside the Lone Star. Come and check us out. We've got some fantastic deals for you. We've got moleskins, we've got every sort of shirt, warm ones, work ones, business, merino knitwear, jeans, trousers, you name it, the list goes on. It's such a big deal. Come and see us.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Alex Campbell Menswear, pop-up store, D Street, Invercargill.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Welcome back. The emergence of Highlanders prop Ethan de Groot is a real upside for the southern side this year. The 22-year-old has come on in leaps and bounds this year and is rated as one of the Highlanders' best players.
The Highlanders have been busy training for tonight's rugby match against the Reds from Australia. The local team will include Ethan de Groot, who made just 2 appearances off the bench for the Highlanders last year, but has been almost ever present this season. 22-year-old de Groot says it's taken a lot of effort to get to this level.
It has been a lot of hard work. I've done a couple of pre-season before I got signed and had a go, but yeah. I am young, but yeah, it has happened all pretty quick, but a lot of hard work.
Playing as a prop, he plays about half a game and says he doesn't mind having his time on the field shortened.
No, well, we do a lot of things that a lot of people don't see. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of weight in the scrums. We've got to pull our bodies off the ground. A lot of the players that go 80 minutes aren't normally the ones doing all the hard yucca.
The locals are expecting the Reds will have to adjust to a more hardline style of refereeing, and Highlanders coach Clark Dermody says he's happy with the choice of Ben O'Keefe as a referee.
Any time you're playing a team from another country, they're differing styles, so I guess it's the same for the referees. That they're used to refereeing similar pitches, so it's going to be a good challenge for us. I guess the Reds, we're different to what they've been facing, and I guess also Ben as well. It'll be a different challenge for him as well.
The game is set to kick off at Forsyth Bar Stadium at 7:05 tonight. In Dunedin, the South Today.
In this edition of Rugby Chat, rugby aficionado Paul Dwyer chats to local players Caden Brocks and Bruce Kalka-Patterson ahead of this weekend's games, which mark the start of the Galloway Trophy.
Welcome to ODT Rugby Chat, brought to you by Garrett Orr, my old mate Gerald Orr across there in Kaikoura Valley. If you're looking for Garrett's door, go and buy one from him. Look, I watched Harbour play on Saturday and I saw a hooker run 50 metres and I thought I've got to interview that kid. So I've got Bruce Coker-Peterson with me, so welcome along, mate. And Caden Brock, you've been away, you've been off the scene for a couple of years, and I thought I'd catch up from Caden. He's a Kaikoura boy, starting halfback, and they're unbeaten this year so far, and I thought I'd find out what's going on with Caden. So Bruce, mate, we'll start with you. So you're a Wellington boy, and there's 3 or 4 of you guys have come down this year. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we got 3 other boys coming down from Wellington. We heard there's a bit of opportunity down here in Otago.
So who have you got from your club? You've got you and you've got Willie.
William Tafui, and we've got William Mefine. They're some raging backs.
Right, and the 4th boy is the young Sam Clark from
10 for varsity. Yeah.
So what are you all doing here?
We just wanted to come down, get in front of some fresh eyes and get a fair opportunity to play some club footy, really, and just see if we were good enough to make it.
So you're all on the wider training side?
At the moment, we've performed ourselves in there, so hopefully it stays that way.
Okay. So, Caden, I'll bring you in. Mate, you've disappeared. You've been away. You've been in the UK for a couple of years?
Yeah, 2.5 years,
So who you been playing for over there?
I was playing for Western Supermare, it's near Bristol.
So that did, because that's where our first 5 was from originally.
Yeah, Dicko. Glenn Dixon was there, and before him was Brett McCormack.
Did they sort of tee it up for you?
Yeah. No, they teed it all up.
So so you've been there for 2.5 years?
Yep.
And were you thinking about going to Ireland from there?
Yeah, I agreed a deal in Ireland for 2 years, but COVID sort of cancelled that. Yeah.
So where were you going in Ireland?
A place called Shannon, which is they play in the All Ireland League.
Yep.
So yeah, it was I was looking forward to it, but yeah, COVID.
So you decided to come home.
Yeah.
Back at Kaikoura, much changed at Kaikoura since you've been back?
A lot of fresh faces, feel quite old now.
But they're like Harbour, plenty of money up there. There's a lot of money floating around. You boys have been cashing some big checks. So, what's Kaikoura going as a club? Going pretty well.
Yep.
Lots of numbers.
Yep. Lots of numbers. Yep. I think we've got 4 Colts teams this year, so it's a big change since I was last year.
And Kaikoura unbeaten so far this year.
Yep. We're doing well. It's a shame it's that first round, but hopefully we can bring it into the second round.
Well, it all starts this weekend, doesn't it? Galloway Trophy kicks off. I'm actually going to write about that tomorrow. So look, Bruce, talk me through it. So why Harbour? Why'd you go to Harbour?
Well, Nick Higgidy approached us.
Was it Nick that?
Yeah, approached us on social media. He just messaged us and said, have a look at what our club's like, and then see if it's interested in coming down to Dunedin and facing the cold. But
so you were, because you were telling me off air that you were with Norths up there. So compare Harbour to Norths for me.
Yeah, totally different sides of the coin. Porirua, Norths is the only club there in the city, so you've got a whole city backing you, and it's real community orientated. We're a real tight knit club, and coming down to Harbour. There's a small suburb out in the Port. It's cold, it's windy, and
it's always cold and windy.
But it's hearty though. There's very few talent to pick from, but for what they get, they make sure that there's someone filling the jersey every week, and there's always a presence in it.
And we will be back again with you next week.
And you can watch the full interview online at odt.co.nz. Still to come on The South Today. We check in on the progress of the Cadbury factory demolition, and we have your weekend weather. Will winter hit hard? Find out after the break.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Hi, Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. We've opened another pop-up store in Invercargill. It's for a limited time. We're in D Street, 201, right beside the Lone Star. Come and check us out. We've got some fantastic deals for you. We've got moleskins, we've got every sort of shirt, worn ones, work ones, business, merino knitwear, jeans, trousers, you name it, the list goes on. It's such a big deal. Come and see us.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Alex Campbell Menswear, pop-up store, D Street, Invercargill.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Thanks for staying with us. Consent documents for the application to fast-track the build of Dunedin's new hospital are still months away from being lodged. Demolition of the old Cadbury factory is continuing apace to make way for the $1.4 billion project. It is proposed that the new hospital will comprise of 2 multi-storey hospital buildings rather than going through the usual consenting bodies. An independent expert panel is set to consider the building consent application. This is expected to save 2 years over the standard process. A hospital project spokeswoman said the ministry had yet to file its paperwork but hopes to do so by September. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. The widow of Blair Vining celebrates the start of work of Southlands Charity Hospital. A well-wisher brings gifts to Countdown staff in central Dunedin following this week's tragedy. And Invercargill school children learn about science from a visiting balloonist who's flown around the world. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Craig Page. What's happening in tomorrow's paper?
Good evening. Saturday paper, of course, so this is always my highlight of the week. The government, of course, is poised to unveil its budget next Thursday, so we've had a bit of a sit-down with Finance Minister Grant Robertson to get a bit of an insight into what we might expect out of it. Of course, last year's budget was one out of the bag on the back of COVID-19, where they had to pour a lot of money into places to keep the country afloat. Mr Robinson's telling us that the accounts are a lot better this time of year than they thought they were going to be on the back of COVID, so that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Climate change, disparity of Maori and Pacific incomes compared to others, and child poverty are shaping as some of the big issues that are going to get some funding this time around. Of course, they've already poured money into the tourism sector only a few weeks ago. So
yeah, and there's talk about what they've promised and what's been delivered. So, and those were those sort of 3 sort of major areas that they were going to focus on. So it'll be interesting to see. Typical government, really, isn't it? They promise the world, and we sit waiting for it to happen. So yeah, it's going to be interesting next Thursday as well to see how things pan out there. Another nice story to put a smile on people's faces about a dancing traffic controller who's making a bit of a name for himself around the city. Jared Osborne's been working on the Port Chalmers to Dunedin Road as a traffic controller in recent weeks, and yeah, he finds it a bit boring, as do the motorists, I suppose, as they're sitting there waiting. So he's pulled out some dance moves to keep motorists happy and smiling, and it seems to be doing a bit of a hit. He works for Downer, and they've had heaps of calls from motorists just saying thank you. Nice.
It's a nice thing to do. So
yeah,
a bit of a character as well, so that's worth read that story. Sport, we've got the Highlanders up against the Reds tonight in Dunedin in Super Rugby. Of course, the Reds are Australians champions and won the title just last week, so hopefully they're still in hangover mode when they hit Dunedin. Yeah, we'll have live updates on that on our website and full coverage tomorrow as well. And of course, weekend mix as well. Plenty of reading in that. We've got a nice story about the Rock and Pillar Range and the work going on to rebuild the Leaning Ridge Hut up there. So yeah, plenty to read.
Fantastic, and you can catch all of that in tomorrow's paper. And now it's time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, blue skies, racing clouds and a well-blown flag in central Dunedin today. Looking at the situation, a southwesterly airflow will ease tomorrow with southern showers clearing, but another cold front will arrive on Sunday with more unsettled weather. So winter is coming. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, it's a wet day here. Showers with 14 degrees in Greymouth and 15 degrees in Westport. Moving to the northeast of the South Island, it's a mixed bag of weather here, with a sunny day and 17 degrees in Nelson and 19 degrees in Blenheim, with scattered showers throughout the day. Heading down to Canterbury, Kaikoura is mostly sunny with 17 degrees. Christchurch and Ashburton are partly cloudy and see cooler temperatures. Christchurch reaches 14 degrees and Ashburton 13. Looking at the southern towns, expect moderate southwesterlies down here and fine weather for everyone as the day progresses with a high of 13 degrees. Travelling westwards to the southern lakes, Wanaka, Queenstown and Alexandra will all see moderate westerlies with a fine day. 13 degrees for both Wanaka and Queenstown, and Alexandra reaches 14. Tiana, you will have moderate southwesterlies, fine weather with your 13 degrees. Moving to the northern towns along the coast, Timaru and Oamaru are looking at fine weather with light winds and 14 degrees, while it's slightly cooler in Twizel and Amarama with moderate westerlies, still a fine day though, and 13 degrees. In Dunedin, high cloud tonight with northeasterly winds and a low of 9. High cloud at first tomorrow, clearing then sunny for a time with moderate westerlies developing later on. Cloud increases again from the early evening. A high of 13 and a low of 7. And it's mostly cloudy on Sunday and windy. Moderate northerlies at first, then followed by a period of southwesterlies around the middle of the day, then northeasterlies. A high of 15 and a low of 5. And in Invercargill, showers tonight with colder southwesterlies and a low of 9. Showers clearing and sunny periods increasing during the day tomorrow with moderate cooler southwesterlies, a high of 14 and a low of 7. Cloud increasing on Sunday and some scattered showers developing moderate with moderate northwesterlies, a high of 15 and a low of 7. And that's all from the South Today team for this Friday and in fact the week. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on YouTube and Facebook. Have a great weekend. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.